Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Cake Talk with KB. I'm your host, Coda Blue. It feels so good to be back and talking about the thing I love most, K-pop. I have some friends joining me today. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, starting with Graylin?
Hi, I'm Graylin. I'm so happy to be here for the first time, and I can't wait to talk to Coda and all these lovely people.
Hi, I'm Daniel. Again, this is also my first time here. I'm so excited to be here with Coda and the others.
Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm so excited to be here with Coda to talk about K-pop and just the industry and everything.
Hi, I'm Katrina, and I'm really excited to be back here and talking with everyone, and I think it's going to be so much fun.
For today's discussion, things are going to get a little real as we dive into the mental health of K-pop idols in the industry, explore the power dynamics between idol and company, and unfold the world of fan culture. Before we begin chatting, what is K-pop? K-pop is popular music based in Korea. K-pop was established in the early 90s and has become increasingly popular since the early 2010s. There are boy groups, girl groups, some of them are mixed, and there are also solo artists. Fans call them idols. It is one of the most popular forms of entertainment as it's become a worldwide phenomenon. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, so let's get into it. I know us stans, we want our favorite groups to go on tours, to release music, and constantly be giving us content. But guys, how do idols handle such busy schedules? Do you think it takes a toll on their mental health?
I think honestly it definitely does, because from what I've seen in the span of probably 10-15 years of K-pop, I know in the 2010s compared to now there hasn't really been a lot of now there's a lot more advocacy for there to be more people to go get help, versus before it would be put on the down low, and the effects of that is a lot of groups have lost members due to that. And honestly they're going in a good direction so far.
Yeah.
In order to build off of what Bree said, I do agree with that, but also the companies still push these idols to have comebacks constantly, every few months. You know, they're having 2 full albums every year. They're just constantly being overworked, and it really does suck because they never really get a break. And yeah.
I was gonna say, it's not just a matter of there being comeback after comeback. It's the fact that there's so many various forms of content. If it's not the songs, then it's the rehearsals. If it's not the tours, then it's the variety shows and their own stuff. There's always something else they have to produce or film, and they have to do so much that they don't actually have time to be by themselves and do what they want to do and make sure that they properly rest and recharge. And
Right.
so then they have to take hiatuses and whatnot. And I feel the industry is going in a good direction, but I also think if we really want to go in a good direction, then just stop giving so much demand,
Right.
reduce the content.
Right, because I can't even keep up with the content anymore. It's content overload. I don't know. I was AT's just released a whole nother EP, and I'm I'm not over the other one.
Exactly,
I need to marinate in the albums.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's I want to spend time with an album. I want them to just focus on one concept, and then it gets crazy, and all of a sudden we see people passing out.
Exactly.
It's insane. It's too much. Katrina, what do you think?
I do agree, and when you were talking about the content too, I also feel a lot of companies are pumping out so much groups. I'm a big person, I love to listen to many groups. I can't even keep up with all the new groups that just keep coming out. And every time I go on YouTube, it's just debut, and I'm where did these groups, where did these people come from? There's just so much nowadays.
On top of that, they're kids.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
so
They're
young.
so
They're
young.
fresh out of middle school. They're 14, 15. It's crazy.
I think honestly it's just really sad at the fact that there's 10-year-olds that they start training very young, and then some of them they go into their 20s still not in a group until that point. And I mean and what's crazy is, once a group breaks up, a lot of them I've seen on these variety shows, they talk about how when it comes to doing everyday things, they're learning that probably in their 30s, and it's it's kind of like a crazy concept for them, like everyday life, how we do it. It's not the same. And yeah.
And I couldn't imagine like all the attention on like there's so many cameras all the time, and you're on the go and you have
everywhere
to be perfect.
they go.
And it's the aspect of like, how are you able to like separate your persona versus your like actual self? And I feel like for many of them probably it ends up meshing, and then they're like, who am I? So
you know what was interesting, I was having a conversation with a friend, and they said to me that the K-pop industry in general is like almost dystopian to them. How like how can you, it's almost like AI, like how can you constantly be generating content and also still like look amazing at all times, like super fit and glamorized all the time. Like we don't see a bad photo of an idol, and when we do, people are like, oh my god, so and so is so ugly, but it's like
they're literally
Photoshop
not.
and things.
They just looked like
their
normal
online
people.
the online forums, they be going crazy.
Yeah, it's too much. It's almost like infantilizing, almost like
Yeah.
how we want them to be a certain way and we baby them, and it's like, I want your hair color like this, It's a little
Right.
weird.
They're people.
But yes, they are people. Yes. Moving on to like a different side of mental health. Many idols have to like hide themselves and hide their whether it be like their sexuality or their gender identity or just adhering to impossible beauty standards. They have to like conform, right? I couldn't imagine that. That seems just like too much and too many eyes on me, and you can't have a bad day. Like, do we as fans have like a responsibility to be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't like glamorize this. Maybe we shouldn't look up to this standard. Like, is this healthy for us?
Well, one thing I want to start off with is I know a lot of groups when they're being made, each member has to have like a specific personality or like a vibe that they have. Like, oh, this one's supposed to be like the quirky, silly one, and this one's supposed to be like the super serious one. But like, it doesn't matter how the person itself feels, they have to abide by that. And I feel like it goes back to what you said about like trying to figure out who they are. They kind of get lost in themselves because they have to be it's basically like an act.
And I was gonna say, like, in terms of the sexuality aspect, it's kind of weird because that'll be forced onto like several idols. I've noticed, like, for example, like Sana from Twice or Jin from BTS.
Right.
Like, they'll like basically force this like a key personality trait of these idols. But meanwhile, like, if they were actually to come out, they would receive like a lot of scrutiny, and, like a lot of homophobia. And so like that's kind of like, it's the hypocrisy of it all, because like fans want them to be this way. Like if they were actually to accept it as part of themselves, then it would no longer be acceptable.
You know, you bring up a good point, Graylin, because I would say like in the industry that we have to acknowledge like the difference between like how things are like in Korea versus like our culture, like Western culture.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
It's very true.
Like we would be like, of course, if Jimin came out, like that'd be great. Like if if one of the major idols was like, declared a specific like identity, we praise them, But at the end of the day, it's also about Korea, and their brand is located there. So it would be great to see where that would go, and we should acknowledge like that cultural difference for sure. I feel a lot of this also goes back to like the trainee process. A little bit more on that later. Before we get into like the nitty gritty, let's take a breather, and here to perform a special rendition of G Friends Mago, please welcome SJUK Dance.
널 위한 주변 난 아니고 될 수가 있어 그저 원하면 원하는 대로 기분과 슬픈 그대로 내가 될 거야 그리고 준비고 달빛을 가득해 We can dance in this moonlight again 저릴 들어봐 미래를 가져봐 My life is waiting for you 가면서 날 보고 웃는 그녀 My heart is beating for you I'm a fairy tale 하면 틱탁 틱탁 ring my heart 심판해봐 지금 날 흔들리지 않을 테니 먹고 나를 위한 춤을 춰 하는 틱탁 틱탁 Feel so high in the midnight In this midnight 불꽃의 춤 속서 다시 태어나서 날아 My life is waiting for you 가서 날 보고 웃는 그녀 My heart is beating for you 너의 fairy tale 하는 틱탁 틱탁 ring 먹고 심판해봐 지금 날 흔들리지 않을 테니 먹고 나를 위한 춤을 춰 하늘 틱탁 틱탁 Feel so
Wow, bruh. That was amazing. It was getting a little too serious in here. All right. Thank you to SJUK Dance for that amazing performance. One more round of applause. All right. Let's get back into our convo. So, about the training process. Many idols in their companies before debuting, oftentimes it's like a very physically and mentally demanding task, being a trainee, right? So let's take a look at this video showcasing the harsh reality of the trainee process.
したんですけど、もう本当に奇跡だと思いました。
초딩 수준이야. 우리가 원하는 완벽한 부분은 아니지만 대표님이 왜 이 친구를 연습생으로
그래.
영입했는지 이유는
알겠지.
정확해요.
朝何も食べない。昼サラダちょっと食べて、夜食べないみたいな生活をしてて、多分1日に300キロカロリーぐらいしか取ってなかった時、本当に力が出なくて、貧血は起こすし、いや本当に死ぬかと思いましたね。いや本当に死を覚悟しました。なんかもう。
열흘 만에 2kg 빠졌어.
저 진짜 그렇게 됐으면 좋겠다. 진짜 많이 빠졌어. 진짜 대박.
되게 많이 빠졌네.
빠질 수밖에 없지.
もうムードももう
아 진짜 열흘 만에 머리
40%. 진짜 50. 진짜?
저 진짜 너무
힘들었어요. 40%. 진짜 박수.
우리 서로에게
How intense was that? I think so many issues arise from the training process, such as like self-esteem issues and the amount of pressure to just be the best. What do you guys think?
I definitely think so.
Mhm.
And it's really sad to see because I mean, when you're in your teenage and young adult years, your body is still forming and you don't really get to your full regular set body until in close to your 30s. So doing all of this, not eating enough and then, trying to be at a certain weight for, the image of
Right.
an idol, it takes a toll on you. And then those practices, they carry on with you even probably after you end up, the group ends up disbanding. And it's really sad.
No, yeah. I remember back in the day when Momo was trying to Momo from Twice, she only ate 3 ice cubes for a week, for an entire week, and she couldn't function, but she had to still do practices, but it was all just for one comeback, so she could look a certain way. She's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so, like that person said, dystopian. Like my friend said, it's so disgusting.
And I remember Momo, like, after she had that diet and she was talking about, like, a few years after it happened, she said that, like, she was scared to go to sleep because she didn't know she was going to wake up because it was such an intense diet.
Wow.
And, like, it wasn't even a diet, just, like, literally her not eating at all.
Right,
Like,
right.
there wasn't anything. And the fact that it was enforced by the company is insane. But, like, if we see Momo now, she's a very healthy idol. Like, she works out, she eats healthy. Like, I think she's a good model to follow. But I feel like you definitely can see how there are self-esteem issues within the industry, especially based on that video, because they were eating like 200 calories a day. I don't even think that's accurate, like less than that.
Yeah.
And they were happy about it. Like they were happy
They're,
about
like, cheering.
about the amount of weight they've lost. When I'm willing to bet, like originally they were a perfectly healthy weight. And if you keep doing that, like if you keep going like, oh, like I've lost all this, I'm like doing so well, then pretty soon you're just going to be like absolutely nothing.
Right, and also it's for me, it's like the practices and knowing that they have to do such physically demanding dances. Like I've done so many, like I've gone on like YouTube and typed in like K-pop dance workout just to see like if I could like keep up, and it's so intense. I couldn't imagine doing that on like no food.
I was gonna say, yeah, because like you know your body, especially at their age, like they're growing, they need the nutrients, they need to eat in order to sustain that. Because like when you're dancing, when you're doing all these movements, you're burning a lot of calories.
Right.
And your body needs to like replenish that calories and like energy. You need that, and because you're not eating properly, that's how they end up fainting, having all these medical problems and stuff like that.
Especially the broken bones. Like
Yes, they
like,
get
fall
very,
and
very
trip,
like
the hip surgeries.
fragile, I guess.
Right. Like there was this video of Jungkook from from like a concert, and he literally like he just passed out. He couldn't like continue, and he just felt he was so hard on himself, you know, and it was just like too much. Do you think like the contracts themselves are like too exploitive?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think like the type of contracts some of them have, I remember a lot of groups that like in the late 2010s, probably like 2017, many of the like second or third gen groups, they ended up switching companies. So I think GOT7, once their stuff finished, they all dipped. Like they said, yeah, no, like we're not gonna be under this company. And a lot of the times it's that they're the way that their schedules are set, because a lot of them, they don't get regular breaks. Like we get, you know, Christmas break, Easter break. Some of them for Christmas, they might just see their parents 1-2 days out of the week.
Right.
Barely. And their parents live far, so it's sad, honestly.
Yeah. You know, I love all of these points, guys, but as fans, we do have a responsibility to say enough is enough. And social media has like shaped like fan culture in a way where we either like idolize celebrities or send like massive amounts of hates to them, to like the ones that we don't like. How do you guys think like social media has like added to like the toxicity of like the K-pop online community? Like the online K-pop community. There we go.
I feel like that's the main root of the toxicity in the K-pop community. Like every single form. Like you go on Twitter, it is insane.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's
pretty bad.
ridiculous.
People be photoshopping, you know, their images to make them skinnier. And then imagine you're seeing that and then you're having to think, oh, then I guess I gotta lose some more weight so then I can look like that so then my fans like me. Like, it's as you said, it's dystopian to think about.
Right. And Trina, do you have anything else to add?
I think people in general like also forget that like idols are human. So it's just like you either like idolize them for everything that they do, forgetting that like nobody's perfect. So then when they do something wrong, they're like, oh my gosh, they send them all this like hate and stuff. But in reality, like people like make mistakes too, and it's definitely part of the like social media and fans' fault sometimes for like the way that idols are treated.
Right now, someone who I think is like a poster child for hate right now is Leah from ITZY. She is on like a 2-year hiatus, which really stings because ITZY is actually on tour again. This is like the second tour in like a year or something. And I'm excited. Of course, I love the girls. I think they're super talented. But she has like anemia, and a lot of people have been calling her like lazy because she may not be as like amazing as the other dancers allegedly. Like I think she keeps up with the rest of the girls. I think she's great. That's why they chose her, right? And she's a good singer too, but it's unfortunate to see that the social media and just like the physically demanding schedules like got to her, because I remember like Midsies, that's what we're called, ITZY stands. Back in the day, we were like, oh my god, they're gonna be like the next Blackpink, they're gonna be the next Twice, like we thought they were gonna like blow up, but now all of a sudden there's a hate train on ITZY and a hate train on Leah because she left. Like, what do you want? It's too much, you know, and we need to be more forgiving with them. But thank you guys. That's all for this episode of K Talk with KB. Hopefully this conversation informed you all at home and you learned something new about K-pop. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.